Hello, everybody, and welcome back. It is Benevolent Banter, week number 5, show number 10. Holy manoli. We are here with one of my favorite humans. I know I say this every single week, but oh my gosh, Mr. B. Thank you so much. I thought Mr. B would have been on many a podcast.
No, this is it. You've taken my podcast cherry.
Mrs. B.
Yeah, sorry, Mrs. B.
Sauce, but not sauce. So every week I love to hear how folks introduce themselves. So if you could please introduce yourself in whatever way you would like, with whatever beautiful words.
Sure. So I'm Nick Boulstridge, known by my mates as Nicky B or Mr. B. Nicky B. I'm currently working as head of performance marketing at Kiwi Bank, which I'm loving. Yes, go Kiwi Bank.
Kiwi Bank.
In the green.
Wow.
Yeah, sort of on brand today.
See what you've done.
Loving what I'm doing. That's sort of me, who I am. But as a person, not quite a kindness warrior like you, more of a fairness warrior.
I love that.
That's how I like to see myself.
A fairness warrior. How do you define fairness?
Fairness, for me, is what you would want someone else to do for you, and the way that you expect to be treated by other people. Just good old-fashioned values of equality and being fair to each other.
So I feel like you are a kindness warrior then.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's, yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, of course I am. That's amazing. Mr. B, where to start? I think the best place to start is probably at the beginning. So you have an accent that doesn't sound like a Kiwi.
Fair point.
Yeah.
Yes,
where are you from? How did you land right here in the seat?
So originally from a small, sleepy fishing village called Salcombe in South Devon, and moved to London, into the Great Big Smoke. Started...
Which part of London were you in?
Fulham.
Fulham?
Split right between Craven Cottage and the Stoop.
Nice.
Yes, great place to be.
You have known a lot of Kiwis there, yeah?
Well, yeah, so rugby, football, on your doorstep.
Yeah,
it was good.
Had some Fulham nights, yes?
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm. Very, very quiet Fulham nights, yeah.
Very quiet.
Yeah, nothing ever happens.
Nope, not in Fulham.
Yeah, especially in the pitch and piano, which is where I met my wife.
Of course you did.
Totally.
We'll come back to that.
Yeah.
Okay, so you moved from Devon to London.
Yeah, and then started my career in advertising, working for Walt Disney, of all companies.
Really?
Yeah.
Did not know this about you.
No, yeah. So I was creative services. So I was designed for all the front covers of the Buena Vista home entertainment range, and then working with theatrical teams for outdoor posters and what we called in-store theatre. So
this
what you don't see in the grocery networks. Yeah, well, yeah, bit me, yeah.
A little theatrical, a little strategic.
Yeah.
That's cool. And how long were you there for?
So I was there for 2.5 years.
Wow.
And then wanted to do more, I suppose, within the film industry. So I wanted to join an agency that specialised in film. And then that opened up my second passion, which is computer games. And then that got me working with some of the big games companies at the time, like
Cool.
THQ, Ubisoft, EA. It was just, awesome.
Just before the big explosion, or on the way up?
On the way up for that big explosion. So, yeah.
And now you're a digital dude in banks.
Yeah.
How did you get... So, okay, Disney, gaming...
Migration. So the migration thing was quite easy. So, no, not really. I had to find a job first. Tell
me about these jobs.
Well, Mrs. B is a Kiwi. So she wanted to come home. So I was quite happy to obviously come and start my journey anew. And I transferred very luckily through the London office
cool.
of Starcom.
Yep.
And shout out to Alistair Jameson. Thank you very much. He basically offered me the role of coming over to look after or head up digital under the VivaKey umbrella. So sitting across both Starcom and Zenith
cool.
Optimedia, which was awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, and a great way to get to know New Zealand brands,
Yes.
Especially nuances to do with budgets. Having come from global, budgets here are a bit more tight, I think's the word. Yes.
That's a very kind word for it.
Yeah.
Little.
Yes, and you have to try and do much more with them.
Yeah. I love that. I love that about New Zealand.
Me too, and I also love that actually there's a lot of innovation here.
Yeah.
And I don't think New Zealand gets enough exposure on that innovation front because
for how clever the ideas, the people, the creativity that comes out of this island nation. Same. I go home to America and I watch TV sometimes and I'm like, this is shit. Like New Zealand is 1,000 times better, and we are so hard on ourselves here.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it wasn't good enough. But then you go somewhere else and you're like, oh, it was good enough and then some.
Yeah, I find it pretty fascinating when we hear, when I first arrived, New Zealand's so far behind. And then you hear, more recently now we're only 18 months behind. And you're like,
we're catching up.
Yeah, it sounds like an episode
Coronation
of Coronation.
Street.
Yeah, Coronation Street. That's right. I think really, actually, if you look at probably, say, the top 5% of businesses in New Zealand, they're not 18 months behind at all. In fact, they're right at the front there.
Yeah.
And they're doing cutting-edge stuff.
That's right.
Leading what's happening in the search space, programmatic, data transformation.
Yeah.
I think New Zealand is right up there. But like you say, I think maybe we're a bit shy in shouting out about it. But
Yeah. I mean, I spend a lot of time traveling overseas to big conferences, which is really funny to speak at because I have this American accent. They're like, oh, you know what's going on. I'm like, I'm in New Zealand. And I have that New Zealand mentality after 17 years of going, maybe I don't belong here. I shouldn't shout about anything. And then you show up to these rooms and you're like, we've been doing this for almost half a decade now. Wow. Like Kiwis are beyond relevant. They're setting the relevance kind of pace. But I don't think we know that quite as much as we should, or give each other the pats on the backs. Do you find that?
Yeah, I do. I think it's definitely one of those that we don't acknowledge sometimes what we have and the skill sets that we have. There is still a skill shortage, I think, from a digital perspective. But there's no reason to say that we can't grow our own. There's always a lot of feeling about going overseas to look for talent. But actually, we can grow our own. There's a hunger for people to learn, and I see it, every day at work. I thoroughly think that there's, a change that needs to happen, and look at our teams first before going abroad for talent.
Oh, totally. I've worked in a myriad of different places now in New Zealand, and it's the ones where there's a nice mix of people from overseas maybe, and then Kiwis, and everybody kind of just grooving and getting along. And it's amazing when you get that culture right at work and like the good stuff. You're at Kiwi Bank right now.
Yeah.
My wife is at Kiwi Bank.
Amazing. Yes. Yeah. Yes, I work with your wife.
She literally skips home
Yeah,
every day. And she's
Mrs.
like,
R. Shout out to Mrs. R.
she's like, I love it there. It's amazing. This morning she was ironing the CEO's T-shirt
Oh, yeah.
before at like 5:30 a.m. And I'm like, you must really love it. She's like, he's such a cool guy. Everybody's cool, guys. Everybody's great. Right? I was like, how nice is it to work in a place like where you like the work, you're challenged, and the people are cool.
Well, and it's the enthusiasm and the fact that everybody is focused on the same outcome, right? Which is all about helping Kiwis to be better off.
That's so cool.
And I mean, it's a great goal to.
It's easy to get in
aspire
behind.
to. Totally, yeah. And when you have something you believe in, it makes it so much easier to turn up and go to work every day, right?
Well, I feel like you might be a passionate and positive person, anyways.
Maybe.
Potentially. I don't think I've ever laughed as much as our little boat ride in Taupo. Telling someone, I was like, we were on a boat drinking alcohol and shooting clay pigeons. They're like, wow, he sounds like a dude.
Well, you can't go really wrong with booze and shooting, although that shouldn't go together.
Sounds so American, right?
Totally.
I was like, I'm at home. We need some barbecue. There's the barbecue. Great, I'm home.
Yeah.
Tell me about what drives you, because we've known each other for quite a few years now, actually. Wow.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah. So, 6 years now.
Oh, wow. And just when we get together, we can have deep conversations. We can have fun conversations. We can have on the line, off the line that nobody will ever know about.
Very true.
Wearing a little special something for you today. You've got your rainbow socks on.
I do. I have my rainbow socks on with my orange shoes.
Ally for the win.
Yeah.
What drives you? What gets you out of bed in the morning?
Life.
Yeah.
So,
Four-letter word.
Yeah, I say that, but we're just really lucky to all be here and sharing, the planet that we're on.
Yes.
There are things that happen in life that, when they occur, make you just take a big step back and reflection, and I find that can be really reinvigorating, and that totally drives me. Plus people. I love people. So there's nothing better for me than a smiley face. I get a kick out of smiley faces. I don't like seeing sad faces.
It's probably why you and I get along.
Yeah.
Just constantly, my cheeks hurt.
It's very true. It's like a lot of laughter. I suppose that's what drives me. I just like being able to share that happiness and that enthusiasm. I find it quite hard. I don't normally have like an off switch for that.
Same. Do you find that some people sometimes are like, how are you so happy all the time?
Like, totally.
Well, we have moments, but actually for me, happy is a choice. Like I'll ride a deep feeling, but then I ride it and then I'm happy. I don't know. Maybe it's just a genetic predisposition towards being, like you just said, life, man. We are so lucky to be here. Sometimes I feel like I'm on another planet because I'm like, man, I'm at the beach. Those waves are they're crashing, and every drop, whoa! But then they're creating air bubbles, and my wife's like, "What the fuck? What are you smoking?" Because I'm like, and the air bubbles are like our heartbeats, and our heartbeats are electricity. Whoa! She's like, dude. You get it, right?
Yeah, of course I do.
Cool, yeah.
I think that whole connection to people and places around you is really important, and it's something that I thrive off. And again, that's another reason why I love New Zealand, right? You raise beaches. It's a 15-minute drive, and there's a beach in any direction. I've got 2 children that just love being outside.
That's so cool.
Yeah, totally. And I just really couldn't see bringing them up in the UK or London, especially. Moving from a concrete jungle into the lush green that we have here, it's been just fantastic.
It's magical, isn't it?
Yeah,
raising
totally
kids.
magical. Yeah.
Same. I personally had a lovely rainbows and butterflies childhood in Southern California, but we were in a big city, to move here and where like the only thing I worry about is Chelsea taking her shoes off and stepping on a bee. Like that's pretty amazing, because I can remember as a kid, and it's not a bad thing, but I knew where I was seated so I could see my exits. You couldn't take your shoes off at school because the school could get sued if you hurt yourself. Like there were so many things going around where it's just like in New Zealand, it's just like, what a cool spot.
Yeah, no, I definitely have the opposite problem with it's actually getting Eddie to wear shoes. Yeah, he's quite happy not to wear shoes at all.
So is he? Are your kids? Do you find they've got the positivity switch as well?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
They're very happy in who they are.
Yeah.
And very open conversations.
Nice.
Which I think
That's
is really
huge.
important. Yeah, really important.
Yeah.
And we have that whole safe environment where you can say what you want, and we're not there to judge. We're your parents. We're there to help you on a journey, right? So,
isn't that cool?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Do they, when they have their little friends over, do you feel their friends also feel quite comfortable to chit chat and just be themselves?
Totally, yeah.
I love that.
And if they're gonna make a mess, they're gonna make a mess. That's what kids do.
That's what adults do it too.
Yeah, too. They do. Yes,
adults are the worst. Communal kitchens. Oh my god.
Yes, but yeah, no. It's been awesome, especially now that you're into sleepovers. So yes, they have friends come round. Can we do midnight snacks and all that sort of stuff?
Fun.
And you're like, yes, you can.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
We were. I say we were on the bus this morning. I don't think my daughter and her friends chose for me to be on the bus with them. I took the bus into town with there were about 9 13-year-old girls, and you could tell the kids who maybe don't have the homes where the parents are open enough, because they were the ones that were like, Chelsea, is that your mom? And they just sat like that the whole way in, where the rest of the kids were like, just all over the show. And I thought, must be hard for a kid to grow up in a home where you don't have that safety of conversation or openness with adults, so that it's hard to look an adult in the eye and go through the world.
Yeah, that's something that I find very difficult to take on board. Those people that don't support or look after their children. That's
Or feel like they have to live their dreams through them, or there's a perfectionism.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I'm the opposite.
You do see it on the sidelines with the over enthusiastic dads sometimes.
Yeah. Whereas I tell Chelsea, sometimes I'm like, you're my kid. Please just push back. Ask why. Tell us. Oh no, but we're supposed to do it that way. I'm like, break a rule for God's sake, break it. And she's like, no, mom. She doesn't know what to do with her hands. I'm like, just break a rule. Poor child. I will not.
Yeah, no, it's funny. And Eddie's picked up Banter quite well.
I bet he has.
Oh, yes. So I was very kindly given an England rugby ball the other day. And Eddie picked up that it was an England rugby ball. So I was like, oh, wow, maybe he's, learning the words or whatever. And so I was like, how do you know it's an England rugby ball? And he was like, oh, it has the red rose, and you support the team with the red rose. I was like, yes, I do.
Very smart.
And then he kicked straight into the bants going, well, at least now you've got a rugby ball that you can play with, but maybe I'll let you play with the All Black one at some stage. And I was like, whoa.
Did he bring you some aloe for that burn?
Like,
whoa, little guy, whoa, what's going on?
So, he won't wear an England shirt whatsoever. And good on him, He was
he's
born
a
here.
Kiwi.
He's a Kiwi.
That's right. Wait till they start to make fun of your accent.
Oh, that'll come, I'm sure.
When you can't pronounce the Tadeo, right? Mum.
Oh, that's the favourite game in the car.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is Dad pronounce the words? So for those of you out there, Cooney. So they
giant carrot.
Well, giant
gotcha.
carrot. So the family, or my wife's family, are all from down that area, from Ridehead.
Yep.
And when I first saw the name, it was like, have a go, and all I could come out with Okinokini. And so, we know it as Okinokini. But I am trying to do my Kiwi German journey.
The German.
There's a German. Well, I don't know where that
Kiwi
came from.
Germans.
Yeah, and trying to improve my Maori pronunciation, but I think it's going to be a bit of a long journey.
Just consistent improvement is what our friend Lochna out there said to me when I was first calling him Lochana, and I tried so hard for weeks. Lochna, our man, The man, the myth. Yeah, I got a thumbs up. There we go. We got it.
Awesome.
Continuous improvement. Speaking of Kiwis, speaking of culture, all of that kind of stuff, I'm just going to hit you with this because we haven't talked about it, but this is what we do. It is Women's History Month, and International Women's Day is on Sunday.
Yes.
Were you at the Kiwi Bank breakfast this morning?
I was at the breakfast.
How was that?
Or I missed most of it. So yeah. So it was. How was it? It was
great.
It was good from the. I heard lots of people talking good things about it.
Great.
But yeah. No,
Well, this isn't about that.
No.
I wanted to ask you specifically because you're a dude. Like, you're a dude.
Yes.
I love you. You're one of my faves. When we talk about equality and feminism and International Women's Day and all of these things, and with you being a dude in a business in quite a title and a position of privilege.
And white.
And I was going to say, quite pale.
Yeah.
Quite English.
Or as Eddie would say, peach.
He just send you the peach emoji and not realize what that means yet.
He actually genuinely believes he is peach in colour. So
Bless his heart.
Yeah, so he will say, I'm peach.
I love him.
Yeah, me too.
What a cool kid. What do you think is the most important way that men can show up in the workplace and the world around equality?
I generally think it's back to fundamental understanding, right? My biggest fear is, I have a daughter. I have 3 sisters.
Yeah.
And having seen how one was treated, in the workplace, won't mention the financial institution, but she was is fluent in French and Spanish, and exceptionally bright, but spent most of her time doing the client entertainment. And you're like, is that because of your skill set, or is it because you're a pretty face and you're female, and that is why you're in those scenarios, which I think towards the end she sort of felt some of that.
Yeah.
And that's just not right.
No.
You're meant to be in that scenario because you're fearsomely intelligent, you're challenging those in the room with you, and you've got the language skill on top to be able to talk to these clients in their natural tongues, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. And so, yeah, I do think that we've still got a way to go. The whole salary thing, that should just happen now, right? I don't understand what the gaps are for. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
You're paid for the skill that you have. You're not paid because of your gender.
Yeah.
I find that odd.
It's an interesting thing. I've spoken to a lot of guys about this actually, specifically kind of, very similar to you in your career and where you're at. And it's like, how hard, is it hard? Do you find it hard when you're in rooms with other dudes to just go, actually, that wasn't cool, or we need to move things to parity? Or is it something that's still not really talked about?
I think, and again, it's an odd one for me because in the current working situation, there is none of that.
Yeah.
It is just fully open.
Yeah, Carly loves it.
Yeah, you're all embraced. You work together. But there have been others where it has felt very, old school, the old school tie, the old network.
Yeah.
Very crusty old men.
Yeah.
And yes, and some of the conversations that you hear, you're like, well, I don't think that's awfully appropriate.
Oh my.
Yes, yeah. And you're like, well, I'm not really sure what I do or how I react to that. But other than leave the room. But yeah, I'd hope that now that behaviour just shouldn't exist anymore, right?
Yeah.
We are, and it goes back to the fairness thing. We're all human, and we should be able to get along, and we should be able to
sit at the table, everybody, and have a conversation.
Totally, and feel safe to be able to have that conversation.
I think that's the biggest thing, is feeling safe. And I know a lot of men want women to feel safe, but after lifetimes of not feeling that safety or the ability to talk, it makes it even harder. So I know for me, I'm on day 5 of self-employment. On day 5.
Awesome.
And nobody's spoken over me yet because I'm on my own. Maybe the little voice sometimes. But I don't know, after almost 2 decades, I have just been tired to my core, even though I've been able to, climb the corporate ladder. I've been tired to my core to sit at a table and to say, here's a strategy, here's some information, here's something that I know will work and a recommendation for going forward. And I'll have a dude look me in the eye and go, tell me when you've done that and where it's worked. And I'll say that. And then another guy will pipe in and say the exact same fucking words. And that same guy will go, brilliant, we'll do that. And it's only in the last few years where the guys who've been saying the same thing as me go, you realize she just said that in the same words. That was her idea. And then the others go, but it exists and it happens. And it's not just at work. It's not just at work. Work is a microcosm of society as a whole. So I feel like there's a lot to fix.
There is a lot to.
How do we stand up? Like, how do we speak up?
I think you've got to be upfront. You've got to lead it yourself.
Yeah.
If you don't lead, people won't follow.
That's right.
And you've got to be able to put that example forward.
Yeah.
I joke about this regularly. As much as I have a job, and it is in advertising, my wife, Mrs. B, Anna, also has a job.
Yeah.
But it's a real job.
Yeah.
So in my case, if something, goes wrong, I've probably, not had a campaign go live on time, or the creative's wrong, or, something else.
Somebody spelled something wrong on the execution.
Totally. Something that can be addressed, or, it's not life-threatening.
Yeah. But
Mrs. B is a sonographer. And on top of that, she's a very good sonographer. So for those of you that don't know what a sonographer is, it's someone who's got the radiology skills to be able to use ultrasound to scan babies in the womb. But with that scanning process, she's skilled in the early pregnancy detection. Yes. So she's looking at brain function, liver function, kidney function, blood flow to the heart, fingers, toes, the whole kit and caboodle. Yeah, life in the making, right?
Yeah.
And so when she comes home and says she's had a bad day, you can imagine.
Yeah.
And so for me, sometimes, it's like you come home, and I showed her a skit that was actually shared by one of the guys from Kiwi Bank, who I met recently, of this surgeon who comes home talking about working on the children's ward, and his partner, he turns to him and he says, how was your day at the ice cream factory? And he goes, did you get to taste some new ice cream?
It's kind of like that, isn't it?
It is totally like that, where it just brings the reality of there are two different roles.
Well, that's what we used to say at Air New Zealand, was when something was misspelled, or we made a mistake or an oopsie and had to apologize for it, it was like, we are actually not flying the planes full of the humans with lives at stake. We're marketing.
Totally.
We're going to be okay. We didn't completely fuck up the brand. Yay, that's a win for the day. But come on, let's have that look into what matters.
And for me, heaven forbid if Anna wasn't treated, as an equal or whatever, and there are male sonographers in what may feel more of a female field.
Yeah, I was just actually thinking that was you were saying that with like nursing and all of those other.
And there is parity, and they work together as a team, and there is equality right there.
Yeah.
And so if that can work in the medical, then why can't it work further afield?
Yeah. I find it interesting. When I worked at ANZ, I worked with some of like the coolest. They didn't know what to do with me. I think that's like just a life lesson. Most people don't know what to do with me. But it was kind of right at the beginning of social media. And so we had really strong search and we had really strong paid. And so there was all of these like really dorky guys. I love you, Phil. I love you, Adam. And they were doing all of like the the stereotypical digital things, but they didn't know where to stick the social media person. So I was kind of tacked onto this digital team full of men who spoke a completely different language. And it was my 2 years with those guys where I learned everything about CMS and DMP and everything that has given me the ability to rise in my job that I am so thankful for, because these guys could have just been absolute assholes. They could have been like, oh, hey, here comes social media girl skipping down the bunny trail with her smile and her artistic integrity. And they took time because they're just nice humans.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's regardless of job or institution or anything, like, how do we get to that? And is it a breaking down as, you know, as kids are being raised, that this is equal? These are the things.
I think it's that and culture.
Yeah.
You know, I think fundamentally, if you don't have the right culture within whatever environment you're in, then you're not going to get the right outcome.
It's interesting, right? Even things as small as like taking up space in the world. My daughter said this morning, she's like, just so you know, Mom, the science teacher might call today. And I was like, the what? What have you done? And she said, no, I was put in a group with 2 boys. And she said, and their spatial awareness is just not on. And I said, tell me more. She said, look, Mom, they got their bums sticking out everywhere. They're right up in my face. They think that they're just like their arms and elbows everywhere. She's like, I just can't take it. There's no physical space for me. And they talk over me when I have an idea. And I just can't take it. So I've been asked to be in a different group. And I thought, yes.
Yeah, fair dues.
But I said to her, did you tell the boys this? And she said, oh, no. I said, so where do we teach even my child?
Yeah.
Didn't feel comfortable telling the boys, hey, stop it.
Not a safe environment.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a tricky one, right?
Yeah.
But at least...
Such a guy. That's a real tricky one.
Yeah.
Yep.
I just don't know how to tackle that myself. But at least the brilliance there, though, is that she was open enough to have that conversation with you and then raise it with, you know, a teacher. So although she didn't feel safe in that environment, she's tackled it in the right way.
Yeah.
And then someone else can have that conversation just to bring the boys to an awareness of themselves.
Because I don't think they're doing anything to hurt anybody at all.
No,
that's how they were raised, to take up space.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
It's fantastic.
Most blokes are like that anyway.
I've started this little experiment, and this might be the most asshole-ish thing I've ever done in my life, but I've told my wife, and she still loves me, so we're good. Simply walking down the sidewalk. So on a footpath in New Zealand, we walk on the left.
Yes.
I've had to retrain my brain over 17 years to be on the right. But it's interesting, whenever I see people on the footpath, if there's a group of 2 men, they will walk and without changing step or moving for the most part 99% of the time and expect me to move. I have walked into 4 people this week. Physically walked into somebody because they wouldn't move. Women, we move. Watch the next time you walk.
Okay. Yeah, no, I find that fascinating. So
it's even little boys. Little boys in New Zealand, I'll be walking down the road and they'll see that there's an adult coming at them from the other side and they will not move. They expect the female to move.
Well, you see that's probably a lack of old skill manners. I don't know.
That's just
I mean,
manners.
I always walk on the outside. That's what I've been brought up to do.
Yeah.
And in fact, Mrs. B will probably laugh again, but I stepped off a pavement once to allow a young lady to step on, put my foot straight in the drain and went over on it and ended up on crutches for a week. And she didn't even say thank you. But there you go.
You're welcome.
yeah. As I hobbled home.
You know, after a lifetime of people not stepping off, she probably thought, finally.
Yeah.
Finally someone made space for me.
But it's funny, right? The other ways, though, I feel that we're also, from a male point of view, getting into that sort of environment where you don't know what you can and cannot do.
Yeah.
So, you know, I volunteered my seat. And I was told by the lady who was more senior to me in terms of age that, what are you doing that for? Do you not think I can stand?
Really?
Yeah.
See, I'm a big fan of chivalry.
I was like, not a problem. Just thought you'd like a seat, and sat back down. But I felt then thoroughly embarrassed.
But then you got, well, that's it.
So then next time, do you do that or do you not?
Yeah.
Probably not.
See, my little blend of feminism, I think and this is it too. Everybody's walks through the world differently. You're up for fairness and kindness. I'm up for fairness and kindness. So I always stand up too and offer people seats because I think that's the whole equality thing. But I also love chivalry. I love it. I love opening a door for someone, and I love if it's a man or a woman when somebody opens a door.
My daughter would do the same, and she would give the seat up because she's younger.
So there would never be a time where I could look a guy in the eye and go, fuck you, man. I'd be like, yes, my feet are sore.
Yeah, I'll have that seat. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
That's all I wanted to hear.
Beautiful human.
I didn't hear.
Next time.
Next time.
Yeah, that's a funny one. Because if that's then the feeling you walk away with, oh shit, I'm a little embarrassed. I'm probably not going to do that again because I don't want to offend the next person.
That's the thing, right? You don't want to cause an offense.
Yeah, which is all of that's because we're kind of trying to figure out culture.
Totally. Yeah.
Whoa, man.
It's like, yeah.
So I want to shift gears a little bit. Speaking about culture and what you do, performance marketing.
Yes.
Which is all about culture. It's about relevance. It's about timeliness. It's about data.
Totally.
Holy shit. Talk to me a little bit about that and why you enjoy that.
So for me, it's fundamentally like trying to solve a puzzle on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And you have multiple moving parts. Mm-hmm. It's almost like for me, it's like being an artist with a massive canvas.
So cool.
And the picture that you want to get out there.
Yep.
You've got a palette of different stuff. And then it's like, actually, what would happen if I blend these two things together? What color do I get?
Yeah.
How does that then resonate with the
people on
person?
The other end. Yeah.
Looking at it, right? Is this what they were looking for? Does it resonate with them? Does it not resonate with them? How do I change that then? What do I need in my palette that might be missing?
So cool.
And I just totally get a buzz out of that.
Mr. B, the artiste.
Yeah, change maker, whatever. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's fundamentally going to work every day, knowing that it's going to be a different day, and you're constantly learning. And
that's so cool. That is a huge piece, right?
Yeah, totally. You've got to have that mindset of you don't know.
That's so cool.
You know what you know, but that's already happened, right?
Yeah.
And everything's changing so fast. It's I don't know what I don't know. So how do I learn this? Who can I reach out to
that's so cool.
that's looking at this?
Yeah.
And then how do I bring those people together collaboratively? And then how do we work, co-creatively to work on that canvas?
I love that. I love the collaboratory aspect of marketing and advertising. As much as people like to poo-poo, the industry sometimes. We're a little bit self-congratulatory, but we have to because nobody else is patting our backs.
Totally, we do. And I think if we need to succeed in this market, we have to be collaborative.
Yeah.
We have to be able to work with our partners. We have to have open, fair, conversations there as well.
And also be cool with knowing that there is an unknown that you can't quantify right now, but isn't that the fun part of it?
That is the fun part, right? How do you unpack what you don't know?
Yeah.
And then the other way, being able to, I suppose it's almost like running ahead.
Yeah.
So you go ahead of the rest of the pack. You look at what the future's sort of going to look like.
Yeah.
What new tech is coming. How's that tech being used? And then come back, share those findings, and then put a recommendation together whether we should go and look at that. That's the stuff I
love about it too.
Yeah, totally. And then, especially at the moment, we've got a great team leader who, Simon Hoffman.
Simon.
Yeah, lovely guy.
Yeah.
And he's an enabler, right?
Yeah.
He enables you to go and try these things.
That's
and without
so neat.
Trial, you don't know whether you're going to fail or succeed.
No, and I find a lot of the time, especially in big businesses, when everybody's got their turf, there's almost a weaponization of not knowing instead of embracing the not knowing. So when you weaponize that and you go, oh, Nick, you don't know that, you must not be good. Instead of going, this guy's curious, he's hungry, and is going to absolutely help us soar.
And that's the one. It's the curious, right?
Yes.
I love to investigate and find out what's new, and you know that keeps me hungry, right?
I can imagine you to be one of the most curious. Tell me more.
Totally.
Tell me more.
Yeah, and I'm not risk adverse.
No.
You know,
No.
part of what you need to do is to take that risk, and you know, and constantly learning. So Arabella, brilliantly, my daughter, came home and told me that, you know, she just learnt to fail. And I was like, okay. I said, it's a good thing to fail.
Yeah.
And she went, yes. She goes, our teachers told us it stands for the first attempt in learning. And I was like,
aren't kids awesome?
yes, totally. And I was like, I am so stealing
First
that.
attempt in learning
is a fail.
Write that down.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. So you go, I have failed. And you're like,
You know,
and
somebody's going to put that on Agile Post-its now.
Yeah, I hope so, yeah.
F-A-I-L.
Sponsored by Sharpie.
Doing. Done.
Yeah.
What's in the backlog? Failure. Like, I can just, that's so cool. Wow.
Yeah, totally agile thinking.
That just blew my mind.
Yeah,
What
I love it.
What a cool
Yeah.
thing for a kid to come home with.
Yeah, totally. And you know, I was then gobsmacked, and as I said to her, I am stealing it. I have stolen it. I've shared it.
Now you can all steal it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. B. Thank you, Arabella. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What a cool kid, man.
That she is.
That's amazing. So you're not adverse to trying things. You're not adverse to, I mean, I also go like fail. I love first attempt in learning because I don't actually think failures are failures. If
No.
you're still above ground and you're still trying and you still have a hunger, you're learning, you're growing. I know for me, the worst thing I can do is be bored. Even if I'm getting a pay packet that's fabulous, or even if I've got a title, I couldn't give a fuck. If I'm bored, I am not a cool human to be around. So and I think it's because I also love that risk-averse nature or non-risk-averse nature of working, right?
And
so
if
I
you
want
got
to go
it
and
right
try
all the
it.
time, it would be so boring.
Yeah. So I don't
'Cause-
believe in failure as we put it. Like,
Yeah.
if we're afraid to fail, then you're afraid to actually succeed.
Yeah.
Whoa. Holy shit, man. Did you hear that silence? Like, whoa, yeah, man.
Well, I just
Deep.
it is though.
Yeah.
You know, to have that thought process, you know, and she's 12.
Yeah.
You know, what's it going to be like when she's 25 and
So-
she's graduated
yeah.
and she's going into business, and she's got that thinking already.
Where she's already got her first attempt at learning for those years of her life and goes, it's going to be okay.
Totally.
That's why with business here, there's always, there's consistent restructures. There's all kinds of things that happen at businesses, but I'm cool with that because change is a lot of that. Let's try something. Let's figure something out. And if it's done in the kindest, in a nice way or a concise way, a kind way, then I'm cool with it because I love change.
And well, that's the thing, right? You have to embrace change because it's constant.
It's the only constant. Like,
it's the only constant.
the only constant.
Totally.
That
So
and breathing, hopefully.
you know it's gonna it's gonna happen, but surely you want to be part of that journey.
Yes.
And at the same time, it's okay not to be part of that journey.
Yep.
If you're not comfortable with it, but otherwise, it is what's on the other side. And
Yeah.
that's the bit that keeps me going. It's like what is there?
Yeah.
What's it going to look like tomorrow? And what will I be doing? And how's that role going to, gravitate? And,
What's it going to do to help, especially if you've got such a strong purpose that you're working to now, which is not the primacy of profit only.
Yes.
There's profit, and then there's humanity, and there's, I know the way that, internal relations with employees and employee engagement, and then customers, like that actually makes you feel good.
Totally. And it's interesting you mentioned the word profit, and I don't hear the word profit.
At a bank?
No, I always hear the word purpose. It is all about the purpose. It is all about what is the outcome that we're trying to deliver.
That's so cool.
Yeah, totally. And that again is another one of those drivers that makes you feel good.
Yeah.
And if you feel good about yourself and what you're doing, you want to do more of it, right?
Yeah. I think that's why for my entire career I've loved all of the places I've worked. There's not one place that I've worked where I walked away from it and gone, I didn't like that. Every single place, because there was always something that brought me there that made me feel like the community was going to be better, or the people I worked with were going to be better, or we were going to be able to at least form some real connections. And that, for me, that's better than the bottom line. I mean, it's always good to grow that too.
Well,
it's always helpful so that the business can remain.
Yeah,
you know?
totally. But that's another thing, right? So talking about change and making things fair, it's another reason why I love getting involved with the industry as a whole.
Yeah.
You know, outside of my day job, because you want to ensure that we keep going in the right way and that we're getting the right tech and we're having the right conversations.
That's the big thing, right? The conversations.
Yeah, totally.
So I feel like it took me and you one conversation. We're like, great friends.
Yeah.
That's good. Because I feel like that you always do that seek to understand. You're there to seek to understand. You're not there for any kind of, I want that.
Yeah.
I want something out of you.
And I don't want to prejudge either because I don't know the answers.
That's right.
You know, it's about having that conversations, and those conversations lead to more questions, more curiosity, and that develops into further conversations, and then you start getting an idea of the journey, where you want to go, and then now what are the outcomes that we really want to get from this.
And that's where the collaborative side of it works too, is if you trust each other. Like in a heartbeat, if you said, Cass, I want to try this, this, and this, I'd go, sweet, I'm in, because I know what you're after. And I know how your curiosity works. But there's other people who are like, hey, somebody offered me yesterday, no, not somebody, 5 somebodies offered me a glass of wine so that I could then give them free advice and strategies. And I was like, we don't know each other. And that's actually what I do now.
Yeah.
So, and we don't have that background of trust yet. So there has to be some bridge between those two so that we can always get out and, I don't know, connect a bit more. Yeah. Yeah,
no, totally. And I think that whole connection piece, another reason why, we came up with the brand steering council is to have brands that, have got an open place to share. So none of us are in a competitive sector. It allows us to have open, frank conversations about, what are the same difficulties that we're facing within advertising in a small market. How do we overcome those? What are the solutions that we should be looking at? Who are the partners that we need to engage with? And then
so important in a place like New Zealand because we all know each other.
Yeah, that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
And that's why at the same time I've got a great agency relationship, right?
Yeah.
Being able to work openly and frankly with your agency is so important. And you learn from them.
That's right. Well, I talked earlier about the guys that I worked with at ANZ. It was Christoph and the guys at OMD I was working with, years and years and years ago, that also taught me a lot about media. So here's your fundamental side of what you're doing with your own content, with your own site, with your own data. Here's what we're doing with it to make marketing and advertising actually work and be out in the ether. And then we had our creative agencies that came in and helped me form the full picture without all of those people and me being able to go to them and go, dude, hands up, I don't know a thing about this. Can you sit with me for 15 minutes after the meeting and teach me? And for them to go, yeah, is the reason that, a decade later, there's that trust. And we're like, cool, I want to work with you.
Yeah, I mean, I just had, that moment where you were saying about the collaboration between, similarly, so I put together where I think our journey's going, put my ideas to paper. I then did a half-day workshop.
Cool.
We had creative and media together. I'm like, this is where my thinking's at. This is not set in stone. You guys are the experts in what you do. So let's put it apart.
Yeah.
But let's rebuild it together.
Good.
And we've done that. So we now all have ownership.
That's so good. That's just strength, right?
Yeah, totally.
Strength in numbers.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's so cool.
But also not. I think I heard it recently in a talk that I was invited to by Shine with Anita, who's a young board director, and she was saying that it took a while to separate the ego from the piece of work that you're doing. So when someone is, criticizing a piece of work, it's not you that they're criticizing, it's the piece of work or the solution or, just the point of view that's put forward. It's not you.
No. That's a hard lesson to learn, especially as a creative or somebody who builds, as you just said, a project or an idea or a strategy. That was the first thing I remember learning. There was a fellow called John Maxim who was a copywriter. He came to Auckland years ago. I'm not even sure why I was in the class, but I think Mercury Energy put me through this class with him. And that was the first thing he said. He said the best copywriters can take themselves out of a piece of brand writing and become the brand so that you don't have that personal tug when somebody goes, take that line. Oh, no, that's right. Because for me, that was destroying my soul.
Yeah.
But that was me. I did that. It's like, no. That's the best thing you can do.
But and the only way to get forward in what we're doing as part of that change is to always remember that the feedback that you're getting or the criticism, whatever it may be, it's constructive, and it's constructive in and around what it's been presented. What's being presented is not you.
Yes.
It's a piece of thinking.
That's right.
And so it should be open to question, and you should be open to be able to receive feedback on that.
Yeah.
It was a real, lesson to hear, and
it's
now
a beautiful lesson.
Totally.
It takes a long time to learn it. Not going to be, not going to beat around that bush. It took me years to go unpack, because you do when you're an artist or you're somebody that, when you make your living in ideas, it's harder than going, I built this table. It's done, I put all the legs on. It's not going to fall over. Here's your table. Boom, goodbye. When it's ideas, that's you. That's existential. So to pull that apart, man.
And it's a great feeling.
Yeah.
And now, as opposed to one person sort of believing, we've now got a team of people and a whole strategy that we all believe in.
That's cool.
It's that's just brilliant. It's gold for me.
You're rowing the ship towards your North Star, all of you together, instead of one person.
Totally.
That's fantastic. That is awesome. I'm going to check our time because we've done it.
Really?
Yeah, we've done our 50 minutes almost.
Wow.
See, I told you, it goes by just like this. This is, for a first podcast, you're just old hat at this, let me tell you.
Really?
Yeah. You're amazing. Oh, really? Look at you.
I was like...
He's blushing. Mr. B doesn't blush.
No, you're taking it.
No, I'm going to blush.
I'm getting hot now.
I'm glad I wore my nice bra today. This is a great thing.
Yeah, totally. I'm still flattered by that.
They are flatter when I don't wear the flattering one. Thank you so much for being here, first and foremost. I love for guests to end the show by calling out somebody or a few somebodies in your life who you see as kindness warriors. So people who are putting that good energy out into the world, who are treating people with the fairness that you want to see.
Oh, well, the first has to be Mrs. B. My darling wife. She is totally the most fairness person you'll meet.
Wow.
Totally understated and just beautiful.
You guys just had a wedding anniversary, didn't you?
We did 14 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well done.
So she is the biggest fairness warrior.
Amazing.
And then I suppose other fairness people, Jane Stanley.
Yes.
She's a great...
Cool cat.
Very
cool cat.
Very cool cat.
Yeah.
And my current CMO, Simon.
Simon.
He's
a dude, man.
Built on fairness.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And just such a nice fellow.
Very much so.
Don't let that go to your head. He wouldn't,
No,
anyways. He
no,
wouldn't.
No.
That's awesome.
He'll be blushing.
Oh, I love the boys that blush. Not like that.
No, obviously.
Obs.
Obs.
Hashtag obs. Thank you so very, very much for being here.
Thank you very much for inviting me along.
Our next podcast, we are going to have some scape grace, some gin, some tonics.
Definitely. Yeah.
Is this our first conversation, really? This deep without a gin?
Yeah, totally. I thought this was when you put it down.
A gin brimmy.
It's like,
gin all the way to the brim.
Yeah.
Nice and clean going in.
Oh, yeah.
H2O. Yeah,
Yeah.
high quality H2O. So thank you, Nick, so much.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
I appreciate your time.
Anytime. And I look forward to the next one.
Me too. And thank you, everybody, for being here. Happy Friday. Happy International Women's Day on Sunday, if not every single day. do whatever little bit that you can. We rise by lifting others and all that jazz. Have a nice rest of the day. Thank you.
See ya.
Bye.